Hey everybody. I've done many videos in the past of computer power supplies, particularly desktop power supplies. Did many videos comparing crap power supplies, the cheap $15 specials versus actual good quality units. Well, today we're going to be looking at the laptop aspect of this. Here we have two Dell power adapters. One is genuine, one is a replacement knockoff. So let's have a look. Over here is a legitimate Dell replacement adapter. Over here is a knockoff. First, let's look at the actual cables. Here's the cables on the legitimate adapter. See how nice and thick these are, and see there's plenty of them. See how many times I got this thing wrapped around. Lots of cable there. Now let's look at this one. Notice how the cables here are a little bit thinner. This is a cable going to the laptop. It's a bit thinner. Now what's really scary about this thing, let alone the build quality of it, when I received this thing, the AC cord, the high voltage cord that plugs into your wall and goes to this socket here, had cracks and you could see bare wires inside of it. Yeah, that is a fire hazard. Immediately took that cord out of service and took this adapter out of service too, and replaced it with the legitimate one. So let me go ahead and let's go ahead and get this cable off of here so you can actually read the information. Now if you look here on this side, you see how we have the Dell logo, and here is our LED that tells you that the adapter does have power. Here, let's uncoil this one. The knockoff adapter just simply has a circle where the Dell logo would be at. You can see how highly similar these are. They try to make it look just like the legitimate adapter. There's two lines here. The Dell logo is here. Of course, they couldn't copy the Dell logo on this one, so they just put a circle there. The LED, the SAS LED, is right there in the same area. The LED that tells you there's power going to the laptop. Yep, right there. A little bit different design. Now what's really interesting is the weight of these two. That really can tell you something right away. Now the reason why I'm actually going to be pulling this out of service and opening it up is because you can see how torn up this cable is at the end. No, it's not shorted. The way these cables are designed is the positive is actually a wire of itself with insulation around it, and the negative is literally just a wire that is like that outspans the positive. Basically, the positive is like inside of the negative wire. So instead of having a cable like this here that has two separate wires side by side, the cable is like this. I think it's just a way to make it look nicer. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at the label on this one. This is a legitimate Dell 90-watt AC adapter. I know it's genuine. There's your I believe your serial number, and of course made in China. Just like the knockoff, but still much better quality. So yes, that's the legit adapter. Let's look at a knockoff. Much less information available. Now, according to this one, this is only a 65-watt adapter, I do believe, even though they're in the same case. If you look at the output, 19.5 volts, 4.62 amps on this one, and light on is the OEM of this one, which is a good brand. If you look at this one outputs 3.34 amps tops, 19.5 volts. I guarantee you that when this thing is under load, it ain't 19.5 volts. It's probably about maybe 16 or 17. And I imagine there's probably a crap load of noise going to your laptop, and there's probably a lot of noise getting backfed into the AC line that powers it. Because have a listen, you know, I mentioned that this one is heavier, which you can't actually tell by the video that it's heavier, but this one is. This one here is probably about double the weight of this one. Here, very good example. Put these directly like this, directly on the table. That sounds a lot more hollow, doesn't it? And this one was manufactured in, appears to be November of 2011. And I've had this thing for about a year or two. So this thing came to me probably maybe a year or two old, and the AC cord was already cracked and you could see bare wires. Yeah, that is very bad. I've seen these replacing AC adapters before, and I've never been a real big fan of them. Now some of them are probably not as bad as this one here. I've seen some that are actually pretty heavy and go for many years. Though I've seen, you know, ones like this that maybe lasted, if even a year. So here comes the interesting part. You know, as I mentioned, guys, we're going to be opening this one up along with this one. So first, let's see if we can get this one open. Okay, we'll start out with the legitimate Dell adapter. Why not? These can be tricky to get into. Alright, let's get you a better view. So we have our primary. It comes in through here. I think that's possibly one of the input chokes there. The X capacitor is there. Yeah, this you gotta keep in mind, this thing isn't doing near as much of a load as, say, like a regular computer power supply would. But I'd say for a 95 watt supply, it does look adequate. What's interesting is I see two transformers in here. One there and one there. Now these things don't really require, I'd say, as much guts because they're only outputting one single voltage, 19.5 volts, and at 95 watts tops. So we have a few capacitors in there on the secondary side. See a blue cap in there, which appears to possibly be maybe a coupling capacitor. There's our main capacitor there, 120 microfarads, 400 volts. So this does appear to be... Okay, I think I understand now. I think this is possibly an active PFC supply. Let's look at the label. Yep, it says 100 through 240 volts. Yep, so this is an active PFC supply, auto range. You know, like the older power supplies from the days that had the switches. Your 120 240 volt switch, non-active PFC units. Well, this one's active PFC, which is why we had that transformer there. I believe that's actually our active PFC coil. And here, you got your main filter cap, and over here, I believe is the main switchers. We have our step-down transformer. Other miscellaneous things like optocouplers, additional coils. Over here, I believe, is the secondary rectifiers. As you can see, we have a thermistor there to measure the temperature. I guess that way, if this thing gets too hot, it just shuts off because there's no fan to control. So that way, you guys see what a quality laptop supply looks like from Lite-On. Now for the fun part. Let's crack that one open and see how gutless it looks. I'm sure we're going to be getting something that's nowhere near as good a quality as that. So this is a good video on why you guys should just get the genuine adapter. Don't get the $2 special off of Amazon. Yes, these things go for as cheap as like $1 or $2, maybe $3 on Amazon. If you lose your AC adapter, it's just tempting to go in there and buy that adapter. I mean, it's got to be just as good as the legitimate adapter. I mean, think about it. It's got to be just as good. But let's find out for sure. And guys, look at this thing. It took me 10 minutes to get that thing open. To get through the plastic, to get the plastic cracked open. Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake, it looks like. Yeah, that's quality right there. I mean, we're housing a device in here that can have up to 400 volts in it. Yeah, it says it's auto ranging 100 to 240 volts, so I guess they would have to put the APFC circuitry in there. Well, we'll have to see for sure. Yeah, I don't think it'll take us near as long to get into this one as it did the actual Dell adapter. They gotta skimp on quality to save you that money. And look at that, guys. You see how much less time it took us to get into this thing? And simply what they have done here is they have taken a supply that was intended for, the smaller case, for like a 65 watt adapter, and put it into a bigger case to make it look like it was actually a Dell case. So let me go ahead and snip some wires, and guys, get a look at these wires. Look at how thin they are. Look at that. I mean, that's awful. Look at the wires. Look at the gauge of the wires that goes to the laptop on this adapter. Much, much thicker. So with this one, you're going to have substantial voltage loss. On top of maybe how much loss this thing is given already. So, we'll go ahead and snip the wires that go to that LED. And we'll pop this thing out of there. imagine probably won't take too much to do. Yeah, let's see. Screwdriver will help. Yeah, so this thing, only one part was actually up against the plastic. So I imagine this thing probably couldn't disperse its heat very well. I mean, you had a little bit of open air inside there, but still not very good for heat dissipation. Yeah, this is awful. This is absolutely terrible. And out it comes. Oh yeah. Well, that explains why the knockoff is so dang light. There's nothing in there really. You got this little thing that was really intended for a much larger case. Yeah, a much smaller case. My bad. And you know, despite what the amperage output stated, it never really did state what the wattage was. You know, I imagine the seller probably sold it as a 95-watt replacement adapter. Screw doesn't look like it really wants to come out. Those screws might have actually went to maybe switchers or rectifiers inside there. I don't know for sure. Yeah, they did actually. So really, what we need to do here is pry this piece of metal up. It should just pry out. Okay, let's see. So there's our actual adapter. Now the way this thing is designed, I don't think we can get it nearly as good of a look inside as the light on. Let's see what. Okay, our main capacitor in there is a 100 microfarad, 400 volt. So not as much capacitance. Okay, now we got this thing apart. Now, unfortunately, on this one, I don't think we can really lift this metal piece out nearly as good as, let's see, with the light on adapter. Now, I have to give this thing a little bit of credit. The this adapter, it's not absolutely terrible, but it's not that great either. There's where AC goes in. It does not appear to have any sort of mains filtering. I can see in there. I can't really see any Y caps. Well, actually, no, there's a Y cap right there in front of me. I don't see any X caps. That's what I meant to say. The rectangular shaped capacitors. Don't see any of those in there. We would have to have, there's our main transformer, which is a bit smaller than the 95-watt adapter. We should have a small APFC transformer in there somewhere, or coil. The caps on this one are smaller. The output caps are 1000 microfarad, 25 volts. Now the light on. One says 820. Let's see. I think the other one is. Can't really tell for sure. But the caps on the light on do seem bigger. You see, like they're better quality. They're from. I think they're actually they're actually Chemicons. One of them is. I think the other one is something else, but Yes, it's actually a cheaper end version of a 65 watt adapter housed in a much larger case to make it look like it's a 95 watt adapter. As you saw, it's the exact same physical size as the Dell casing. I mean, this is the knockoff case, and there's a Dell. Physically the same size. Here's the insides of them. Now here's where things really get interesting. Let's put them side by side. Side by side. Now you can clearly see that the legitimate 95 watt light-on adapter has more guts. It's better built, has a lot more guts to it. It is physically bigger than the knockoff of what was intended to be a 65 watt adapter. So not only with this Dell, this fake Dell adapter, you're not only getting, it's a cheap knockoff design, but you're getting a cheap knockoff design that was intended to knock off a 65 watt adapter. So even worse. If you look carefully again at these wires here, these are the wires going to the laptop. You see how thick they are? Nice thickness, minimal voltage loss. But with this one, look how thin these are. That's terrible. Let's in fact snip open the cable on the genuine adapter. That took a good bit of pressure to pop. Strip it back a little bit. You can see, as I had mentioned earlier in the video, how the genuine Dell adapter uses a cable design where the positive cable rides inside. This one's inside one more. Well, it looks a bit like heat shrink because there's additional insulation in there. Okay, there's actually 3 wires in this one. Okay, 3 wires. One of these might be like a feedback wire, to tell supply what the voltage is at the connector. Now the cheap knockoff does appear to have that too. So really, you have your positive on the inside and your negative return on the outside. These wires by themselves. Let's strip the wires. Let's go ahead and pop this cable here and see what we have. You can physically see how there's a lot more wiring to the main lines on this Dell adapter. Now look at this. Yeah, this is pretty bad. We just have 3 individual cables. Now I think the red is like a feedback, or like a sense wire. Basically, it tells the power supply what the voltage is at the end. But we have, I think this is our positive and our negative. That is much smaller, much smaller than the actual wires on this thing. Big time. Okay, so anyways, I don't mean to bore you guys out too much, but yeah. For those of you who have probably seen these cheap knockoff replacement AC adapters on Amazon, you might want to think again about them. If it's a knockoff that really says replacement AC adapter, yeah, don't expect too much of quality. Just don't get it. Because you remember I mentioned earlier in this video how the AC cable that came with this thing, it was so poor quality that it had cracks in the insulation and bare wires were showing. Bare wires! 120 volts being exposed. Or if you're in a different country, 240 volts. If you get hit by that, it wouldn't be nice. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video of quality versus absolute crap. So let me go ahead and move things around just a bit. So let's see. Yep, here we go. Fake versus real. So with the genuine Dell adapter, we have better quality innards, much more of them actually. The cabling is better quality. I doubt you have to worry about the genuine Dell adapter's AC cable getting cracks in the insulation and exposing your live wires. Also, you can see how much more difficult it was for me to get into that versus that. I mean, even the plastic on this, well, you know, they're similar. I think the Dell's a little bit better, but you can see how much better the construction of the Dell adapter was, even how it was put together. I had a time getting it open, whereas the AC, you know, the fake Dell adapter was like a piece of cake getting it open, like nothing to it. So let's imagine if you drop the adapter on the floor by mistake, with it plugged in and the thing busts open. Yeah, that's very safe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned a lesson on why you should avoid those cheap replacement AC adapters. Any questions or comments? Feel free to ask, and thanks for watching.